you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Who else could it be? For me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Thursday Night Football Overtime. Chargers, Chiefs, first place on the line, AFC West family business. If these two teams say they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's family business. And this was of the highest importance. And boy, was this some good family business or what? This is what family business is supposed to look like. There's some balls on the part of the Los Angeles Chargers and their head coach in this football game, going for two there. It's the right decision. One, I don't trust Michael Badgley. Yeah, that's right. I don't trust his ass. That's one, but he probably did it more so because I don't want to go to overtime and play against the Chiefs. I don't. I don't trust that we're going to continue to stop Patrick Mahomes and his Chiefs offense. We saw what they did to the Ravens last week. They won the toss. They proceeded to eat up 6 minutes of the overtime clock and pretty much put the Ravens behind the 8 ball. I don't want to go through that. Let's see if we can win it right now. We win it, cool. If we don't, that's cool too. It's all right. It's all good. But make no mistake about it. This Chargers team, you know what's the biggest shame of it all? You know what the biggest shame of it all at the end of the day is? When you watch these two teams, don't you feel like you're watching two of the better teams in the AFC? Record-wise, that's a fact. You know, a wise man once said, you are what your record says you are. Well, their records say that they're the two best teams in the AFC conference right now. But somebody's going to be the 5th seed in the AFC. Think about that. Let that sink in. That the team that loses this division may have the 2nd best record in the AFC, and they will be reduced to the 5th seed on the road pretty much for the entire postseason. That's a shame. It really is. And I don't know what you do with that. We've heard rumblings in the NBA about, you know, seeding and records being what determines home court advantage. And we've heard a little bit of that. Remember back when the Saints had to go on the road to the Seahawks, who were, I believe they were 7-9 that year, or 7-8-1, something like that. And that was the Beastquake game that they ended up losing when Marshawn Lynch had the big run and the Saints were like 10-6. And the Seahawks were like 7-9, and they won the game. I don't know if there's a fix. I don't know if there's a way to fix this. Because the NFL has said time and time again that they want to make sure that winning the division means something. And even if a division winner is 8-8, they need to get a home playoff game. They won their division. I get it. So I understand from that angle. But God damn it, this was a good football game. And for the first half of it, I said, shit. There's my guy, Philly Rivers, doing that Philly Rivers shit on the road versus the Chiefs, where he throws picks all over the goddamn place. Here we go again, same story, different year. Hit the rewind button. It's the same shit I already seen in the movie. They're going to lose. The Chiefs are going to win this game by 2 or more scores, and Phillip Rivers is going to throw 3 picks tonight. I thought I had already seen this movie before. But as in the Pittsburgh game, this is a different Chargers team and season. And I told you that I wasn't buying the Chargers until they went on the road and beat Seattle, okay? In past years, they wouldn't have been able to do that. That's when I knew this season was different. The game against Pittsburgh on Sunday night a couple of weeks ago reconfirmed that, all right? It furthered that point that this is a different season for the Chargers, and tonight I think puts an exclamation point on that. Snapping a 9-game losing streak to these Kansas City Chiefs, beating them in Arrowhead nonetheless, and also beating them in the fashion that they were down 14 late in this game. All right? They were down 14 points in this game, and they rallied back and tied this thing, or excuse me, cut it to 1 with a touchdown. There was some questionable officiating in this game. Make no mistake about it. Look, the officiating has been horrible this season. So I know we're going to get some comments in the comment section, most likely. I haven't looked at the comments yet, but I'm pretty sure that somebody's going to complain about the officiating. That's the NFL. You have to deal with it, all right? The officiating stinks, all right? These officials have been told to do certain things, and there are points of emphasis that have been made. You have to call this a little bit more. It's almost like cops and state troopers having to meet a quota, and at the end of the month, they're pulling guys over and pulling people over for going 5 and 6 miles over the speed limit. And you're like, come on, man, that's bullshit. Stop your nonsense. What are you doing? Find something else better to do. Go find some criminals. But that's what they got to do. They got to hit a certain quota. And that's what these officials are doing. Like some of these holding calls in this game, are you kidding me? Stop. Come on, man. The offense already has enough advantages as it is. But that's the game that we know as it's constituted today. That's the game. That's the way a lot of these officiating crews call it. When we get an officiating crew that just lets the players play, man, is it refreshing to watch or what? But there are many more crews that are going to call the game ticky-tack like they did tonight than there are teams and crews out there that are going to allow players to play the game. That being said, you still got to go out and make plays. And Phillip Rivers, with the game on the line, Philly Rivers made some throws. Where the hell has Travis Benjamin been all season any damn way? Did somebody turn the damn clock back for OG 85 tonight? He might have had more catches tonight in the game than he had all season combined. OG 85 went nuts. And Mike Williams, how many Chargers fans, how many fans of the NFL did I hear call this man the B word last year? Early in the season using the B word. How dare you? I told y'all to stop that nonsense. Man played out of his brains tonight with no Keenan Allen. And that's another thing. That's why we can't throw Keenan Allen in the best receiver in the league discussion. Right there. We can't count on him, and he's been healthy of late, I know. But this is always something that looms with this man, is the injury aspect, and is he going to be healthy? That's why we always omit Keenan Allen, because when he's healthy, he's a damn good receiver. You go ahead and throw him in the top 10. But you don't know when he's going to be healthy. They could have used him tonight, but other guys stepped up in his absence. Other guys stepped up, including Mike Williams. Travis Benjamin was huge with a couple of big fourth down catches in this game. Without Travis Benjamin, yes, Travis Benjamin, the same Travis Benjamin that ran backwards into his own end zone for a safety. Yes, that same Travis Benjamin. The one that has been on a milk carton. Have you seen me? This whole season makes 2 of the biggest catches of the year for the Chargers when they need him the most. And what about those throws by Philly Rivers? Come on, man. Come on. That last one to him over the middle of the field. Stop. Stop it, Philly. Stop. For all of the shit that Phillip Rivers did early in the game, he should have thrown a 3rd interception. If the damn safety could catch, if Eric, what's his face, could catch, he would have had another interception. So, for all of the shit Phillip Rivers did early in the game, boy, was he magnificent late. And I know no one's going to talk about the drive when they were down 21-7, when he took them down the field and cut it back down to a 21-14 game. I know nobody's going to talk about it. But how about Phillip Rivers getting them literally down to the last second of the play clock? Getting them into some great run calls. Changing the play, getting everybody lined up, and giving the ball off to the running back. Nobody's going to talk about that because we don't talk about that. That's like an offensive lineman. You don't talk about offensive linemen and how well they're doing. We just talk about how well the offense is performing. Well, if the offensive line wasn't performing well, the quarterback wouldn't be throwing for 4,000 yards. It's like Quentin Nelson, who should be in the Rookie of the Year discussion. He's not going to get Rookie of the Year. Why? Because his numbers aren't quantifiable. But what Phillip Rivers did on that drive was some Peyton Manning-esque type bullshit, where you go up to the line of scrimmage, you see the defense, you see them overplaying on one side, so you go up, you make a bunch of calls and adjustments, you switch the side of the run, you switch the side of the back, you tell them, get on this side, and you snap the ball with 1 second left on the play clock, and it's an 8-yard run that was about to be a loss of 2. Nobody's going to talk about that. He did that 3 times on that drive that netted about 40 yards. And then the reverse got into the end zone by Mike Williams. It's a beautiful drive. Rivers was magnificent. Sands for a couple of throws. Rivers was magnificent in the second half of this game. And he did it with a bunch of backups. He did it without Austin Eckler, who I heckle every week. But Austin Eckler is a big part of their football team. Left the game last week at the very end on an onside kick, probably sustained a concussion. I didn't know if he was going to play tonight. Short week, he didn't play tonight. So now you're down to your 3rd and 4th back. So he did it with a bunch of backups. Lose Keenan Allen in the first half. Did it with a bunch of backups. They got it done. That's a testament to Philly Rivers. in this Chargers football team. There's a different level of toughness and intestinal fortitude that exists with this team this year than in past years. This team, they don't win this game last year, the year before that, the year before that, or the year before that. There's a reason they lost to the Chiefs 9 straight times before tonight. Earlier in the season when they lost to them in week 1, they didn't know who they were. They didn't have an identity yet. Anthony Lynn, I give Anthony Lynn a lot of shit, man. Okay? I didn't love Anthony Lynn last year. I didn't love him. At times I thought Anthony Lynn was lost. But there's a definite culture change, and I've heard Chargers fans talk about that even last year with Anthony Lynn. Like, yo, I know you don't really love Anthony Lynn, but I'm telling you it's different with this Chargers team now. Like, it's not the same like it was under Mike McCoy. It's not the same like it was under Ken Wisenhunt. This shit is different. And I'm like, I hear you talking. I don't see it. I hear you, though. I see it now. Anthony Lynn has this team believing. And him going for 2 speaks volumes. Now, again, I think it was more about, look, I don't want to deal with the Chiefs in overtime. And I don't trust Michael Badgley either. I don't know if he necessarily distrusts Badgley. I don't trust his ass. You know how I feel about him. But I think it was more about, look, I just don't want to go to overtime. F that. All right, I don't even want to put my team in that position. We battled back. We got this far. Either we win it now or we lose it, and we just feel good about what we just done. I'm good either way. Let's go get the dub, though. I love it. Want more of it. And the league is trending towards that anyway. I mean, how many times have we seen teams in this situation right here decide to go for 2? I think that's becoming more of a trend now than it was ever before in the league. You know, teams are bypassing the conservative approach and saying, look, hey, let's just go for the win, man. I ain't got time for this overtime shit. Let's just go for the win. And you see teams get it done like tonight. You see teams fail like the Titans did earlier in the season versus Chargers. It could go both ways. Bottom line is, what a win by the Los Angeles Chargers. This is a big win. I still think they're going to lose the division because I think they're going to lose next week at home to the Ravens. I really believe. I watched the Bengals last week really slow this team down. Because remember, the Chiefs stink on defense. Let's not forget, let's not lose sight of the fact that the Chiefs aren't very good defensively. All right? Like, let's remember this. I know they're getting better. I know we watched a dominant performance by a guy that we need to talk about more. All right? We need to talk about Chris Jones a lot more. And I've been talking about him. I talked about him when he had 8 straight games with a sack. I talked about him when he had 9 straight games with a sack. Now he set an NFL record with 10 straight games with at least 1 sack. Never been done before in a single season. Guys have had 10 straight games with a sack from one year to the next carrying over. They've never done it in a single season. We've got to start talking more about Chris Jones. We'll talk about him a little bit later when we get to the Chiefs. But remember, let's not forget that this Chiefs defense stinks. All right? There'll be the undoing of this football team if they don't make it to the AFC Championship game. They'll be the reason why. They don't play good enough defense. That's a fact. So let's not act like the Chargers went out and destroyed a team that plays defense. They didn't go out and beat the Bears up on offense tonight. They didn't go up and destroy a Dallas Cowboys defense that's probably the best in the league. They didn't go out and destroy the Ravens. Now, if they go do this to the Ravens next week, put up 29, have damn near 500 yards of total offense, they go do this next week? Now I'm like, shit, you got me. They're not going to do this next week. I watched the Bengals, who don't play a lick of defense, damn near go into Los Angeles last week. And I get it. They might have played down to the level of competition. Jeff Driscoll, man, I'm not going to tell y'all ass again. They might have played down to the level of competition. But they almost lost that football game. And I thought it was a questionable call to take away Jeff Driscoll's rushing touchdown. That could have been the difference in the game. The Bengals could have won that football game. And they were a 2-point conversion away from tying that game. And the Bengals don't play defense. The Ravens do. And you saw what the Ravens did to the Chiefs last week. They're going to do the same thing to the Chargers, except they're going to win that game. I don't know if the Chiefs are going to go to Seattle and win. I think they're capable of going to Seattle and winning. I really do. But we will see. Big win, though. Both teams leave this game at 11-3. Wow. Chiefs still lead the division technically because they have a better divisional mark. But I don't know, man. I really don't know. Yeah, because the Broncos beat the Chargers, so that's the second loss. So the Chiefs have only lost once in the division. So technically speaking, they still need help to win this division. But shit, man. It's so frustrating that somebody's going to lead this division a 5th seed. That's insane. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. Win the division. That's how it goes. Win the division. As for the Chiefs, they've had 3 tough losses this season. all of their losses have, listen to this, every single one of their losses has come by a field goal or less this season. Let that marinate for a second. Process that. Like, even when they lose, it's close. Like, no one has put it to the Chiefs this season yet. No one. We got a thriller in New England that they lost on a walk-off field goal. We got a thriller in Los Angeles versus the Rams in which they lost by a field goal. And we get a thriller here in which they lose on essentially a walk-off two-point conversion for all intents and purposes. And what the hell is the return guy doing there? With all of the chicanery we saw over the last week in the league with laterals and things of that nature with Tyreek Hill on your team, why are you running that back? Man, if you don't get your ass down with a second or two left and give Patrick Mahomes and this offense a chance to do some razzle-dazzle bullshit, what are you doing? Get your ass down. That should have been talked about on the sidelines, but their brains were scrambled. Andy Reid's eggs were scrambled on that sidelines after they went for two and got it. He was bazzity. He had no idea what the hell was going on. He should have told his return man, look, bruh, you don't return this at all. This lands in the field of play, you go down. This goes in the end zone, it's a touchback. You don't return this. You don't eat up any clock. You're going to allow our offense to try some bullshit. That was supposed to be the play. Andy Reid didn't tell him anything. Why? Because Andy Reid's eggs were scrambled on the sidelines. Had no idea what the hell was going on. He was out of it after that. They got their head hurt at the end of the game with that loss. But everything is still in front of the Chiefs. For as good as they've been this season, they could lose the division and be a fifth seed. Think about that for a second. They've been among the best teams in the league, and they could be a fifth seed. They got to win out. And they're going to win out. I really believe they're going to go to Seattle. That's the one. They're going to beat the Raiders. They're going to beat the Raiders. The one that they can lose, though, is over at Seattle next week. I think they're going to win that game, though. I really feel confident that they're going to win that football game. But we're going to see. We're going to see. That's going to be interesting. That's their season to me, because now you send them on the road, they're going to get got by somebody on the road. Like, they'll get got by Houston on the road, all right? They'll get got by Pittsburgh potentially, and they've been to Pittsburgh and won already this season, but they'll get got by somebody stupid on the road. Like, imagine if Baltimore comes back, wins that division, gets the 4 seed, and they got to go to Baltimore, a team that gave them fits at Arrowhead last week. They got to go to Baltimore in the first round of the playoffs. They could lose in wild card weekend. You could go from being the number 1 seed, the most dominant team in the AFC all season long, to going on the road and losing in Baltimore in wild card weekend. Think about that for a second. Makes absolutely no sense. It's not going to happen. If you're out there, Chiefs fans, listen to me. It's not going to happen. You're going to go to Seattle next week. You're going to win. You're going to beat the Raiders at home in Week 17. You're going to wrap this thing up. All right? You're not going to lose this division. Now, Chargers, on the other hand, I think they're going to lose next week at home to the Baltimore Ravens. I really believe that. I could be wrong. I know what I saw last week against Cincinnati. The Ravens, I know what I saw against the Chiefs last week. I feel good about saying that right now. But, man, is that a big win for the Chargers. Wow, wow, wow. I never expected them to get this done. I just didn't. I had no confidence. Zero confidence in their ability to win this football game. I've said it a number of times. I didn't take them seriously until they would beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, they beat the Chiefs. I got to start taking this Chargers team seriously, because when people would talk to me about the Chargers being a Super Bowl contender, I said, they're not a Super Bowl contender because they can't beat the Chiefs. They can't beat the Chiefs. They can't beat the Patriots. Well, they just beat the Chiefs. And the Patriots aren't the Patriots. So why not the Chargers? Why not the Texans? The AFC, and I said this on my podcast, the AFC is as wide open as it's ever been in the B&B winning factory era. All right? And yeah, there have been seasons where the Patriots didn't make the postseason, or the Patriots didn't make the AFC championship. But if you want to get technical, you want to be literal, this is the most wide open the AFC's been in the last 7 years. During this stretch of the Patriots making the AFC championship every year, it's the most wide open the AFC's ever been in that stretch. I honestly believe that this could be a Patriots-free AFC championship game. I honestly believe that. But I also am not a damn sucker. I do know that come playoff time, the Patriots know how to turn it up, and it could easily be the Patriots and fill in the blank in the AFC Championship game. Now, I don't think that's going to be played in Foxborough. I could see the Patriots not getting a home playoff game. As a matter of fact, I think they're going to lose to Pittsburgh this week. I know I might sound crazy. They're going to lose to Pittsburgh this week. Yeah, the Patriots are going to lose again. 2 games in a row. I know, it's rare. They're going to do it, though. If you're the Chiefs, you're fine. How about Damian Williams? I always liked Damian Williams. I think that's the, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. Same Damian Williams that was in Tennessee. I know for a fact that he was in Miami last year and in the year before that. I loved his ability to catch it out of the backfield. They didn't hand it to him a ton in Miami, but they sure did throw it to him out of the backfield. He could catch his ass off. Love Damian Williams as a pass catcher out of the backfield. He showed some juice tonight. He showed some last week versus the Ravens too. Showed some toughness as well, running in between the tackles. Like Damian Williams. Then they got another Williams. There's a lot of Williams. And my man Sean Hawk said, man, there isn't enough Williams in the game tonight. Man, there were Williams everywhere. Like, you couldn't get enough Williamses tonight. And they got some stuff in Kansas City, man. I don't know if Kelvin Benjamin is going to work out for them or not. The Samuel Watkins injury sucks because I thought he completed their offense, gave them the ability outside of Tyreek Hill to stretch the field, but also a guy that could work the middle of the field and do the dirty work and get the tough yards. I know Conley isn't afraid, but he's Chris Conley. I mean, there's only so much you rely on Chris Conley to do. That's why they paid Samuel Watkins the money, but this is also the problem with Samuel Watkins throughout his career is injuries. He's always been a guy hampered by injuries. And they miss him in this offense, I believe. But nonetheless, even without him in the offense, they've still been rolling. They've still been scoring points. And tonight, it was the defense. It was the defense, again, that let them down. 28 points is supposed to be enough to win in this league. On most weeks. Most weeks. Should be enough. When you got a 14-point lead with less than 8 minutes to go, less than 7 minutes to go, less than 6 minutes to go in a game, you're not supposed to lose. Not at home. So this is on the defense. And they had some questionable calls. I thought the Mike Williams pass interference in the end zone. I don't know if that was a 4th down. I don't think it was, but that was a really bad call. You know, but then again, so was the penalty on King on a 3rd down that extended the Chiefs' drive that later resulted in a touchdown. I thought that was a bad holding call that they called on him on a 3rd down that resulted in a 1st down. Like, there were some bad calls both ways. So, like, again, I don't really want to hear about officiating. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad on both sides. But in any event, the defense let you down. But Chris Jones, man. Chris Jones, guys. Like, I know it's not sexy to talk about interior defensive linemen. That's why Aaron Donald is getting shafted for MVP discussion. I know it's – and look, I talked about it on my podcast about the MVP discussion and where it should go and who should be in the discussion. But Chris Jones, man, guy's got 14 sacks now. Like, when are we – let me say something else. We don't talk about Chris Jones enough, and we haven't this season. Let me take my name out of it. I don't want to lump myself in with y'all because I talked about Chris Jones plenty. All right? Chris Jones hasn't been talked up enough this year. How about this game, though? How about this game not being talked up enough? You had 2 double-digit winning teams for first place in December in Week 15 on the last Thursday night game of the season. 11-2 versus 10-3. Did this game get talked up enough? I don't watch enough TV, so maybe I missed it. I didn't feel like this game got the hype that a game of a magnitude of, say, Dallas-Philly with the same 2 records would have gotten. If this was Baltimore-Pittsburgh, this game would have been, oh my God, this would have been next level shit. The East Coast bias would have set in if it was some East Coast teams. But because this is some left coast quality football, some left coast family business, I don't feel like this got enough pub, man. I talk about Melvin Gordon III, even though he's been out 3 weeks in a row. I talk about how he didn't get enough love. And I feel like that's because he plays out on the left coast. There's a lot of shit that gets swept under the rug when you play in the Midwest over. Let me not. I don't want to lump in the Midwest. When you play in the mountain time zone over, shit just gets swept under the rug. Sometimes it's as if you don't even exist. But I digress. Back to Chris Jones. Dude is playing out of his brains, man. And if you want to know what and he was a second-round pick out of Mississippi State was Chris Jones. But if you want to know what a first-round pick defensive lineman looks like and it's supposed to operate like, look at Chris Jones. For as big as he is, the dude is so quick. His feet are, this was one of the biggest pros for him coming out was how quick his feet were. And this is the thing that goes unnoticed. And I talked about Boza and why he was one of the most elite prospects I saw coming out of college from a hand standpoint. His hands are outstanding. How many times did we see him defeat a block right off the snap? Just hand usage. Just beat a guy off the snap with his hands. Hands are so underrated because you can beat a guy without even having the quickest of feet, even though Chris Jones' feet are ridiculously quick. You can beat a guy with just hands. He's long as hell, pause, and his hand usage is next level. He's beating dudes right off the snap with a swim. Get your hands off me, man. Black belt in karate. Get your hands off me. Boom, he's in the backfield. Now they got a hold. He's a problem. And I watched this dude do it week after week after week. For a Chiefs defense that is very subpar, they've got some stuff up front that can affect games. I don't see 5-0 being the same 5-0 that he once was. 5-5 has taken over that role in D Ford. But Chris Jones is the man up front. You want to beat the Chiefs defensively, you got to block Chris Jones. You got to block Chris Jones. It's as simple as that. You may be able to put D Ford to sleep, but right now, Chris Jones is the key if you want time to deliver the football. That's the guy you got to protect against. He was exceptional in this game. Almost damn near a one-man wrecking crew. Almost a one-man wrecking crew in this game. But they fell short. And got to give some credit to Philly Rivers, man, down the stretch. He was outstanding. And something told me. I watched the wide-angle view of that last play for the touchdown. Or the two-point conversion, excuse me. Something told me that they were going to F that coverage up. I saw it before it happened. It's like I had a premonition. It's like Raven gave birth to me or something. I saw the shit before it happened. I closed my eyes, and I said, somebody's going to be wide-ass open. And I thought it was going to be Benjamin at first because he was the last receiver in that stack set. Then they sent him in motion, and I said, oh, maybe it might not be as bad. And I saw Kendall Fuller walk up to the line of scrimmage in front of the receiver at the head of that trips formation at the beginning before Benjamin went into motion. And I saw him point out the guy and say, I got him. But if they go outside, if they switch, if they cross face, we're switching, we're comboing it off. So I saw the communication taking place. I said, they're going to F this up. And sure enough, Williams goes outside. The outside receiver comes across. They both go with the outside receiver on the inside breaking route. Wide couldn't be more open. Yikes. Game on the line, and that's what you do? Jesus Christ. Anyway, hell of a game. Hell of a win. Wow. 2-11-3 teams. You can't watch this game and tell me these aren't the two best teams in the AFC right now. That's my biggest takeaway. Not that the Chargers won this game, even though that's a hell of a win. I walked away from this game saying, I just watched the two best teams in the AFC. Not the Texans, not the Steelers, damn sure not the Steelers, not the Patriots. These two teams, best two teams in the AFC right now. And one of them is going to have to take the road less traveled to the AFC Championship game. One of them, if they're going to make it, is going to have to win two, not one, two road games. 3 if they want to make it to the Super Bowl. That shit is crazy. Or as a wise man once said to me, that shit crazy. Let's get to the comment section. All right. What up, Likely Phenomenon? SOL's Nation says, there goes our boy Kendall Fuller again. Hard being a Skins fan at 22. I mean, it is. Talk to your boy Bruce Allen. He made the deal. Colts fan says, why can't the refs have the ability to call the NFL referee department and confer with them about the call? Well, they're getting these initiatives from New York. They're the ones telling them, hey, throw more flags for holding. They're telling them to do this. I actually heard an official say, and this was a guy not still officiating, but he still talks to these officials. He said the league told them, call more holding penalties. We want more holding penalties on the defense. We want more points. Like, they're not going to go against these guys. Colts fan says the refs have been so bad. What can you do? Colts fan says, do you believe in the Chargers now, Lou? I believed in them. I didn't believe they could win this game, and I didn't believe they were a Super Bowl contender. So let me clarify. I did believe in the Chargers. I didn't believe in them being a Super Bowl contender. If you're asking me, are they a Super Bowl contender, the answer is yes now. I told you, if they could beat one or the other, if they could beat the Patriots and or the Chiefs, they were a Super Bowl contender. I wasn't convinced that they could do that. They beat one of them. I'm convinced now that they can win the Super Bowl. So, yes, Michael Thompson says, Anthony Lynn, real, bruh, gutsy call. Indeed. You know, Anthony Lynn has changed the culture in Los Angeles with this Chargers football team. Like I said, I wasn't the biggest Anthony Lynn fan, and he looks awfully stoic on the sidelines a lot, so you really don't get a feel. He's like Todd Bowles 2.0. Like, I really never get a real sense of how he feels on the sidelines because he always looks the same to me. But he has the pulse of this team. And can't say enough. And, you know, I root for brothers. Head coaches that are black, I always root for them, you know, because they quick to run them out the league. But I will tell you quickly, just like I've said about the Arizona head coach, Steve Wilkes, and the Denver coach, all right? Both of them dudes look like they straight mark busters. Straight trash. Both of them need to go. Now, I'm willing to give Steve Wilkes another chance because it's his first year. But he looks like a deer caught in headlights. All right? And I never thought the Denver Broncos coach, when they got him from Miami, I never thought that he was qualified for the job. I just, for whatever reason, Vance Joseph, I don't know if he blew him away in the interview or what, but I never was sold on Vance Joseph. He stinks, too. So, I root for brothers, but I will tell you, when they stink, they got to go. It's not different. But I also root like hell for them. Any minority, for that matter. Colts fan says, how about Badgley, LOL? Look, man, he made all of his extra points. All right? But they didn't trust him to kick that last one. I think it was more about not wanting to go to overtime than lack of confidence in Badgley. But that's what I'm going with. You can't tell me how to feel. He decided to go to 2 because he didn't want to send Badgley out there. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. RG3 hashtag says, Eric Berry finally back on the field. We didn't see a lot of him tonight, though. I think he was on the pitch count. Saw him early, didn't see him late. Buffalo pregame says, wow, the Chiefs are going to be in 5th place and hand the number 1 seed to the Patriots. Not going to happen. I already told you how this is going to go. First of all, in order for them to hand it over, first of all, the Patriots are going to lose on Sunday. So the Patriots aren't catching. The Patriots are playing in wild card weekend for the first time in the last 6 years. Book it. Book it. If you heard it here first, Patriots are playing a wild card weekend this year. They're not getting a first round bye. I guarantee it. They're losing in Pittsburgh this week. Bank on it. These are not the Patriots you've grown up with, watching slaughter your division year after year. Not the same Patriots. Not the same. If the Dolphins weren't the damn Dolphins, they could win that division because the Patriots are going to be 9-5, and if they could somehow go to Minnesota and win, they'd be 8-6 and right there. Right on their ass. But they're not going to win the division. And the Patriots aren't going to give them a chance to do so either. But they're not going to win 12 games and win a first-round bye or be the number 1 seed or any of that nonsense. Their ass is playing in Wild Card Weekend at 10-6. Mark my words. Or, excuse me, 11-5. They're playing in wild card weekend at 11-5. Buffalo pregame says the XFL should have chosen San Diego as a location to have a team. Those fans deserve it. We got to see how the XFL does. Are they going to hang around and be around for the long haul this year? I mean, this time? We're going to see. What about the AAF? They start this year. The American Alliance Football League, or whatever the hell it's called. The Alliance American Football League, or whatever the hell it's called. That starts this year. The 20th Mike, I talked about that on the podcast a long time ago. The 20th Mike says, what a game. Felt like the whole season people underestimated the Chargers. Didn't see them as a threat until now. I didn't see them as a Super Bowl contender. I saw them as a threat in the AFC. I didn't see them as a Super Bowl contender. I didn't think they could beat the Chiefs or the Patriots. I think they can beat either one of those teams now. So they beat the Steelers. They beat the Chiefs now. And the Patriots aren't the Patriots. So they got a shot, man. Colts fan says, feeling a whole lot better about my Colts playoff chances as the Red Hot Chargers play the Ravens week 16. I'm sorry. I got news for you, buddy. The Ravens are going to go to Los Angeles. One, they're going to take over the stadium, turn it into a partial crowd at worst. Two, they're going to win that football game. I'm sorry. I'm just telling you. You got a better chance of Tampa Bay going in to Baltimore, turning over Lamar Jackson 2 times and winning than you do the Chargers taking care of business for you next week. I'm just telling you. Don't kill me. I'm just a messenger. I'm telling you right now, the Ravens are going to win that game next week. I'm just saying. I got Munson says, love the balls there at the end. Gun to the head, Louie. Who do you have representing the AFC in the Super Bowl? Right now, God damn it. You put a gun to my head. The team that wins this division will represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, I believe. You know what wouldn't shock me? If the Texans somehow were able to, let's say, get to the 3 seed and were able to maneuver their way through wild card weekend and somehow able to take out the 2 seed, whomever that may be. And let's say the 1 seed goes down in the AFC divisional round. Let's say the Chiefs win the division and their streak of losing games, home playoff games, goes to 7 in the first round that they play in, which is the divisional round. Let's say the Texans, they get the 3rd seed. They defeat the 2 seed in the divisional round. Let's say that the 2 seed is the, I guess it's got to be the Patriots, even though I said they're not going to be they're not going to be a team with a bye week. Let's just say it's the Patriots. And let's say the Texans go to New England and win. And then they get the home playoff game in the AFC Championship game. I could see the Texans doing it. But honestly speaking, I think the team that wins this division probably going to the Super Bowl. That's the way I feel. And I honestly want it to be the Chargers because I want it to be Phillip Rivers. I don't think he gets enough credit for how good he's been throughout his career. Because he hasn't been to a Super Bowl. The lack of winning in the postseason. I think that's the stain on his, I think, outstanding career. I think the one blemish is the fact that he hasn't been to a Super Bowl. I'd like to see that end this year. So, whoever wins this division is my answer. I Break for Rapper says, go Chargers. Atlas says, I don't care that this game was rigged. The Chargers are making Max Kellerman look like a prophet. Do you think the Chargers are going to make noise in the playoffs? I do. I'd even think more highly of them if they're able to win the division. Even though their home field isn't a real home field advantage, the difference between them playing at home and having another team take over their stadium versus them having to go to, say, Houston in the first round makes a huge difference. Because Houston isn't going to allow Chargers fans to infiltrate their stadium. They're going to be loud. They're going to be raucous. And that defense is really good. That could be problematic. You could be one and done in that situation. Versus being a number 1 seed, if they win the division, and having to have a team like New England or having to have Pittsburgh come to you. I know the Steelers would take over that stadium. Literally, they would take over that stadium. But it'd be better than going to Heinz Field where it would be 100% Steelers fans, essentially. I'd rather it be 60-40 Steelers fans at my spot than 100 or 90-10, 95-5. So there's that. JP says, how about them Chargers? What a finish. Cody_1804 says, what a fun game to watch. I didn't care who won. I just wanted to see the Pats have to, don't want the Pats to have the number 1 seed. I think that's the sentiment amongst most NFL fans, not New England Patriots fans. They just don't want the Patriots to be, they want new blood in the AFC. Reese says, I was about to come up here and rip the Chargers a new one for not kicking the extra point and going for 2. I didn't have a problem with it. I actually liked the decision because going to overtime I didn't think would have benefited them any. They lose the toss, they probably lose the game. And I know they had been playing well defensively, but I thought the Chiefs had pretty much put it on cruise control. When they went up 14, I think they thought they won the game. And at that point they were playing not to lose instead of to win the game. Hey, let's not F this up. Let's just try not to, lose this game instead of let's go out and win it. And the Chiefs earlier in the season wouldn't have taken their foot off the gas pedal. I know they got a penalty on that last drive that really killed them, but they would have still tried to go for the jugular earlier in the season. Earlier in the season, they needed to score 40 to validate. They needed to score 30 in the first half to validate. Of late, and yeah, no Kareem Hunt, no Samuel Watkins. All of those factors come together. I mean, think about this. Damian Williams was your leading rusher and receiver in this game. I mean, that tells you all you need to know. So, it tells you that this offense, and Kelsey had a nice night, but it tells you that this offense still is not what they once were because of some of the hits it's taken with Kareem Hunt in that situation. And, obviously this injury to Samuel Watkins and bringing a guy like Kelvin Benjamin onto your team, who I'm not a huge fan of anymore. We'll see what happens. FBG Tony says, game was dumb lit. Chiefs played like hoes down the stretch. Colts fan says, this is why I feel the NFL is so much better than the NBA, so much more competitive. This is why the NBA struggles. The NBA is a great league. It's fun to watch. It's easy to throw a highlight montage, easy to throw clips on Twitter. Oh, this guy got dunked on. Oh, did you see this crossover? This guy fell down. That's fun. But at the end of the day, 3 teams have a chance to win the championship every year. Same 3 teams. Wherever LeBron James is, the Golden State Warriors, and there's usually one more team out west. It toggles between San Antonio. It was the Rockets last year. It may be OKC one year. That's it. It's usually 3 teams that have a chance to win the championship. It may be 4 or 5 this year. The East is a little bit more competitive. Boston looks like they're getting their shit together now. The Raptors look like a real contender with Kawhi now. And then, of course, you've got Golden State, who, they're struggling in the regular season. They're fine, and they're going to get Boogie Cousins. There may be a little bit of a transitional period there, but eventually that shit's going to come together. And then you still got some of the other teams at the top of the Western Conference. The Western Conference is crazy this year because nobody is taking a huge step forward. But at the end of the day, there's going to be the same. It's going to be 3 teams that are going to have a realistic shot. It's Golden State Warriors and then the 2 teams in the East. That's it. That's why the NBA is boring once it gets to June, once it gets to May, April. Because it's fun. It's great. My team never has a shot. All I can hope for is a playoff series win or 2, and that's it. That's it. That's all I can ask for. I know my team isn't good enough to win a championship. In the NFL, all it takes, because in the MLB, in the NHL, and in the NBA, the better team always wins. Unless there's an injury of epic proportions, the better team, because it's a series. It's a series. And if you're the better team in a 7-game series, the better team is going to win. In a one-game elimination scenario, all bets are off. You play one bad game in an NBA series, and you may lose by 23. Who cares? You might win the series 4-1 after that. Or you may lose one more game and win 4-2. In the NFL, you play one bad game and your season could be done. And that's why we love this game. Larry G's the best says the Chiefs got lucky last week because of the refs. Buffalo pregame says Walt Coleman needs to go. You missed the helmet to helmet, but then you call pass interference on nothing. Too many flags. I thought they missed calls on both ends. I thought that there were some ticky-tack calls. I thought they missed some things. It is what it is. I don't have a Walt Coleman problem necessarily like I did a Jeff Triplett problem. And how about ESPN hiring Jeff Triplett? Man, does he stink. He reminds me of the black ref that was just awful on CBS that ended up getting fired. He stinks. Jeff Triplett was horrible as a referee, and he's even worse as an analyst. Gosh, they got to do something about that. Anyway, Cloud says, great game, gut-wrenching for the Chiefs because I believe they aren't in the lead anymore in the division. Wrong. They are still technically in the lead. They possess a better divisional record. They're 4-1 in the division. Or, yes, 4-1 in the division. The Chargers are 3-2 by virtue of losing to these same Chargers or losing to these same Chiefs in week 1 and losing to the Broncos a couple of weeks ago at home. So, technically speaking, the Chiefs are still number 1 in that division. But one more loss by the Chiefs, coupled with 2 wins to finish up by the Chargers, and things could change it and could be drastic for the Chiefs down the stretch. JP says, Rivers isn't an MVP finalist. I'm going to throw up everywhere. He's not going to be an MVP finalist. The guy he played against tonight is an MVP finalist. Drew Brees is an MVP finalist. It's a 2-man race right now, essentially. I'd like to throw another name in the hat. I've said that on my podcast in Aaron Donald, but we'll see what happens. ADZ says, how is the Chiefs' third-string running back that damn good? They got some stuff on that roster. I said that way earlier this season. I told you Demarcus Robinson is a quality 4th, 5th option at receiver. I love Harris, even though he'll drop the football from time to time and he does some dumb shit from time to time. I love Harris as a secondary option at tight end. Demetrius Harris, I love him. Athletically gifted at tight end. Like, they've got stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff in Kansas City. Reese says, Lou, a couple of videos ago, you said you had a bone to pick with me because I didn't mention Cairo Santos. I did say something. We hit the hour mark before you could read it. Okay, I saw that comment as I went off the air. I saw that you defended yourself. And I said, okay, I see that, Ree. I didn't get to your comment, but I had to make sure that you knew that I knew that Kairos missed some kicks. Just in case you didn't know that I was keeping tabs. But we'll see what happens. Craig Smith says, but much respect to you, Ree. You know you my guy. So, you know I had to come after you, but you had to clear your name. I respect that. Craig Smith says, Lou, it's different. I feel you, Craig. It's different, bruh. I told you after you beat Seattle, it was different. I didn't know it was Pittsburgh come back from 16 down different. I didn't know it was Kansas City come back down from 14 with under 6 to go different. I didn't know it was that different. I just thought it was, hey, you went on the road, beat Seattle different. That's nice. I know Chargers teams in past years that wouldn't have been able to do that. I didn't know it was this different. Buffalo pregame says, that last touchdown could have been called incomplete. Stinks that a game has to come down to wondering whether or not it counts. I thought it was a catch. The ball never actually left his possession. Yeah, it moved a little bit. It's a catch. Like, let's not get too crazy fanatical with this catch rule. I think they've done a really good job of really clarifying what a catch is this year. I need to see clear non-possession of the football. He kept the ball. It moved a bit, but it never left his possession. It was a catch. Ricky L says, take 2 wild card teams, 4+ division winners according to record in conference should make your seed. Shaking my head, the Chargers will be 13-3 and a 5th seed. and these refs need to be fired. So let's dive into your comment. You say take 2 wild card teams plus the 4 division winners according to record in conference and make your seeding. Again, duh, that's what everyone thinks that should be done. But again, the NFL has made it a point of emphasis, and I don't disagree with them, that it needs to be important to win your division, or else what difference does it make that you win your division if you don't get a home playoff game? I mean, teams are gonna really go against that because that's more revenue for individual teams. When you win your division, that's an extra game at home that's more revenue generated for the franchise. I can't disagree with wanting the teams that win their division to get a home playoff game. I understand that it's going to suck that the Chargers could essentially go 13-3 this season and be the 5th seed and have 2 teams ahead of them that are inferior. 3 teams ahead of them that are inferior to them record-wise, including a team that they may have beaten this season in the Ravens, who could ultimately win their division and still not be a team with a home playoff game. It's asinine, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Colts fan says, how do you feel about Anthony Lynn now? Winning changes everything. All right, winning changes everything. I don't have to love you as a head coach. If you win, all I care about is results. As you know, this is a Janet Jackson league. What have you done for me lately? Do, 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 ooh, yeah. And he's won. He won last year. Started slow. They won down the stretch. They just missed the playoffs last year. But he won last year, and he's winning big this season. I got nothing but love for you, baby. What you got? I got nothing but love for you, Anthony. Yeah, whatever. He probably saying to me, yeah, whatever. But I'm like, yo, I got nothing but love for you, Lenny. I got nothing but love for you, baby. You winning games. Long as you winning, I got no problems, even if you look like Eli Manning on the sidelines. I got nothing but love for Anthony Lynn. The dude is getting results. Ali Side says, hell of a game, but who you got winning these divisions? And Melvin Gordon is not even playing. I don't know where the Melvin Gordon comment came from, but he's saying they're winning games and he's not playing. That's what I'm assuming. Anyway, who you got winning the divisions? I talked about that on my podcast. I put out 2 podcasts this past week for those of you who haven't been keeping tabs. I dropped a dooski on y'all. All right, not 1, 2 podcasts this week. As you can tell, I'm off for work. I have all this vacation time. I'm off for the rest of the year. So I am out in front of things, got a lot of time on my hands. So everything's going to be done in a timely manner now, including dropping 2 podcasts this past week, plus lockdown coverage. A lot of content out there for you to get. Also, just so you know, I'm on Tuned In now. All right, so tune in. I'm also up there on the podcast front, so you can get the podcast on TuneIn. You can get it on Google Music Play. You can get it on iTunes. You can get it on Stitcher. And, of course, on the website, LouieTNetwork.net. So there's no excuses to not get the podcast and consume it in some shape or form. I talked about all of the issues that you guys wanted me to talk about. I talked about the Kareem Hunt situation. I talked about the Mike McCarthy situation. I talked about the situation in Washington with Reuben Foster. Talked about all of that. Talked about the divisions. I talked about MVP. I talked about all that. Rookie of the Year. All of it. Check out the Louie T Network podcast, episodes 31 and 32. I talked about all the games from past weeks, action on lockdown coverage. What more can you ask for? What more do you want from me? Ali Side says, are you going to overtime for the Saturday games? If I'm home. We're celebrating my dad's birthday, so I can tell you right now, I'm not going to be home. So in normal situations, yes, I would have overtimed the Saturday games, both of them. But I'm not going to be home. We're celebrating my dad's 60th birthday. What up, Dad? What up, boss man? Happy birthday, bruh. And so we're going to do it up big for the boss man, and I won't be home. So, no, I will not be doing the overtime games this week, but I may do them next week again. It all depends on my availability. Am I at home or not will determine whether I do over. But normally, yes, those are primetime games in my estimation. And I may still do something live quickly on my phone, mobile-wise, just to jump on and say a few things. If I'm watching the games again, I'm going to be celebrating with the fam, so it's kind of hard to say. But as of right now, no. Buffalo pregame says, Rodney Harrison predicted Chargers would win the division on Football Night in America. I hate it when that man is right. He's too patriot cocky. Hey, look, man. He may have seen something early on in the season. And these Chargers, man, they're different this year. It's different, man. It's different. They different. Yeah, they different. It's different this year. Reese says, Bucks play abroad in 2019. I don't like it. We played 3 games in London. Got our ass whooped all 3 times. Well, get you some more ass whoopings then. ADZ says, no such thing as a quota now. I don't know if he's talking about for police or refs. I heard that police officers don't have a quota. I just find it hard to believe that, and I know where I am, they're out like gangbusters at the end of the month. I don't see these bastards at all until a week left in the month. And then it's like 3 dudes getting stopped in the morning going to work, another 5 dudes getting stopped on the way back. And I'm like, shit, they're out. So I don't know. Stormtrooper says, AFC West always keeping you on your toes year in, year out. Yeah, it seems like it. Craig Smith says, love Philly Riv, but he straight goes Waldo, Geraldo, Faldo versus Kansas City. Literally throws us out of these games. You can count on 2 to 3 picks, almost automatic. With that said, it's different. Yeah, you're right. I don't know what the hell is going on, because he threw 2 in the first half, and the second one was as egregious as it gets. You're taking points off the scoreboard. That first, Eric, what's his face, the safety, should have had another pick. Should have had another pick. He just dropped it. That should have been 3 picks for Rivers in this game. I don't know what the hell is going on against Kansas City, but he stinks against the Chiefs until the fourth quarter of this game. And even the third quarter, like I said, it won't go on any stat sheet. No one will talk about that drive down 21-7. But him checking them into the right run calls and changing the play and getting everybody lined up schematically, it's a thing of beauty. It was the thing that we used to praise Peyton Manning for doing. These quarterbacks getting their teams into the right plays, getting them out of bad plays, it's a thing to marvel at, man. I love it. Reese says, Mike Evans is better than Keenan Allen. Facts. John Perez says, Derwin James for defensive rookie of the year. Not going to happen. I talked about that on the pod, though. 20th Mike says, that helmet-to-helmet hit at the end of the game was a flag. Then the next play they call a push shove when it was clearly not. Again, with these officials, I've thrown my hands up in the air and I've said, hey, you got me, man. You got me. The NFL came out, I told you earlier in the season, and the Redskins lost to the Texans, came out the next day and said, hey, about that last play, second to last play of the game where you should have got a pass interference, but they didn't throw it. That would have gave you a chip shot field goal for the win. Yeah, that was pass interference. Oh, my bad. Yeah, my bad. That was pass interference. We'll get it next time. Hey, I sure could use that win right now, man. Sure could use that win right now. But, hey, thanks, though. Thanks for that reprieve. Thanks for that acknowledgement of an F-up. Appreciate it. That really helps my record. It is what it is. Sean Mack says, Travis Benjamin is not worth $5.7 million a year, though. And he might have made 2 of the biggest catches of the season. They may not be $5.7 million catches, per se, but they were huge catches. Yeah. And with the safety taking over his duties on punt returns, and he's been phenomenal on punt returns, the Iowa safety. His name escapes me. Y'all know who the hell I'm talking about, though. Travis Benjamin's role on the team has been reduced, and there, that 5.7 doesn't really fit what he's being asked to do anymore. Chuck Shark says, you think the Chargers win the AFC West? Talked about that earlier in the show. Colts fan says, as a Colts fan, I love Big Q Nelson, but I can tell you that he's been a bit shaky in pass protection. I love Quentin Nelson. He's been shaky in pass protection to a degree of late. Earlier in the season, he was outstanding. He's been a little shaky of late. He'll get it together. I know this kid. I watched him throughout his whole career at Notre Dame. He's a beast in the run game. He's always been really good to average at best at times in pass pro. He can be beaten. Sometimes he can be heavy-footed and not move his feet and lunge in pass protection. He'll get his shit together, though. JP says, but I can tell you this much. He's changed him, along with Braden Smith, have changed the culture in Indianapolis along that offensive front. That is not up for debate. And for that and that alone, from going from one of the worst offensive lines in the league to now one of the better units in the league, he deserves recognition for that. It's a mindset. And he's a nasty son bitch. So it's a mindset. We've hit our hour. We've hit our hour. I'm going to get the hell out of here. I'm going to take one more comment. I'm going to scan through and see which one makes a lot of sense. Cody says, Mike Williams had a great night. Reese says, Lou is a heckler for Austin Eckler. I knew you were going to do that. The minute I said it, I said, Ree's going to do something with that. That's too close of a word on play on words for Reed, for him not to do something there. I'll leave with this. My man Sean Mack says, remember both you and I liked Justin Jackson, but we're worried about how much he carried the load at Northwestern. Man, they should just hire us, bro. LOL. That is what I basically said a week ago, is that I was all over Justin Jackson, and I remember you specifically being right there with me, how we thought the Chargers got a steal in the 7th round with Justin Jackson. I knew a lot of people thought he was a little slight of frame. He was just north of 200 pounds coming into the league. I said, I'm not worried about that. He'll put on more weight. He'll be 205, 207, 210, or whatever, and he'll be fine. The workload at Northwestern was a little alarming, but I'm like, he's not going to be asked to be the guy. He's going to be a backup, and I think that's a perfect role for him. And he's been really good for them in the absence of Melvin Gordon the third, and now Austin Eckler. But in any event, it's going to do it for your man Louie T here on Thursday, the final Thursday night football overtime of the season, and that's a hell of a way to go out. And I told you the primetime games this year, for the most part, have been pretty damn good, to say the least, and that's a hell of a way to send us out with a bang on Thursday night with two top-notch teams, arguably the best two teams in the AFC, squaring off in some quality AFC West family business, with the Chargers snapping a 9-game skid to these Chiefs, getting the win in come-from-behind fashion with a 2-point conversion to win it late, 29-28. Both teams leave this game at 11-3. Despite the loss, the Chiefs still remain atop. Let me make sure you guys walk away knowing this. The Chiefs are still atop the AFC West division by virtue of a better divisional record. They've got a season split now with the Chargers, but that's their first divisional loss. They are 4-1 in the division. They've swept the Broncos already. They've beaten the Raiders once, and they've split with the Chargers. They're 4-1 in the division. They finish up the season with a home game versus the Raiders. Meanwhile, the Chargers are 3-2 in the division. They split with this Chiefs team, but they've also lost to the Broncos. They've already swept the Raiders. They finished up the season at Denver in Week 17. The Broncos could be playing for something in that game as well. So that's interesting to see how the Chargers finish up this season. Either way, Chiefs lose this game, gut-wrenching loss, still atop the AFC West and still the number 1 seed in the AFC Conference. The biggest shame of it all, as I mentioned at the very top, before I let you go, one of these two teams is going to end up being the 5th seed in the AFC playoffs. That's the real shame of it all. I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. Remember, if it's not your man T, it's not the best NFL coverage it could be. I will see you guys next time. And just as an aside before I go, excuse me, this is my first time streaming live with an alternate broadcast over with a different beta that I'm doing on a different platform called Sports Booth. Sports Booth is a alternate option that I will be using along with YouTube that will be a little bit more I think in 2019 will be a little bit more in-depth. It will be a lot more user-friendly for you guys. And that's something that I'll talk about with you guys down the road as they continue to develop the platform. But just wanted to throw that out there that I'm multicasting. All right, I'm streaming live on 2 different platforms, on YouTube Live and on Sports Booth as well. So there's that. In any event, check out the podcast. Plenty of content for you guys over the next couple of days to keep you going, to get you to Sunday. There's 2 podcasts that I dropped this week. I also dropped lockdown coverage. So if you can't complain that there's not enough content to hold you over, maybe I'll chop it up with y'all on Saturday. Probably not. Most likely not. But never say never. I'm your man, Louie T. See you guys next time. Thank you for joining me for all of these Thursdays this year. It's been fun, as it always is. You guys make it an incredible ride the entire year, every single year. Can't thank you enough. If you haven't already done so, like the video, share it, and most importantly, subscribe to the Louie T Network if you haven't already done so. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great night.